sorry that happened. Let me just go get Mon. I've moved rooms and hold on, okay? I'll be right back. I hope you're still with me. Looks like I'm operating. So, oh good. Hi Karen. So I'm just I'm just relocating. Hold on. Okay. I'm relocating on.
Okay.
It's too bad because I'm near the piano here, so I can't play. Anyway, I'm just relocating. I had to turn it off and on. You could actually talk while I relocate. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry about that. I'm going to turn you over to Mon for breathing exercises while I fully relocate. There you go. Okay, so now you can chat, Mon. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you see me?
Yeah, they can see you.
What were the questions again? On breathing, yeah.
Mon, are you talking?
I'm here.
Yeah, you can keep talking. I'm just relocating. They can see you. They can see you, so keep talking.
Okay. I used to, I have a few exercises that I learned from my classical lessons many years ago, and to strengthen the area here, the diaphragm area. And one of my favorites is this line called and then you go higher, you go step higher as you continue singing those syllables. But at the same time, I would focus on the pitches. And at the same time, I'm mindful of the movement of my area here on the tummy area, the diaphragm area, to develop the muscles there, to make them really strong and capable of doing those challenging scales or lines or staccato notes that we sometimes would encounter in different pieces. And that is for that purpose. The other exercise is singing long tones, just like how sax players and trumpet players would rehearse and develop their tones. You know, singing long tones is always helpful. In the morning, I would always go sing just one note and focus on that. Try to achieve that bel canto, that beautiful tone that we're all trying to achieve when we're singing, particularly ballads. So you can go. See, and it's so hard to when you're not physically fit. It's so hard to maintain long tones, long beautiful tones. At the same time, keeping those pitches spot on, which is just like playing a keyboard. You know, the advantage of a keyboard or a piano is that the pitches are perfect, but the human voice, when we're singing, it becomes even more challenging. So I think it helps to practice, to always focus on those that tone that that we all enjoy hearing when we're listening to the greats.
I can offer a few things too. And some of this Mon said already, but so the words have different kind of meanings. For instance, the word hold, especially relating to breath, you don't want to. Okay, I'll answer about the diaphragm, because she wants to know how can you be sure you're using your diaphragm. Okay, the diaphragm and the vocal cords have no nerve endings. So you cannot feel them specifically. You can feel the results of the correct production, but especially of the vocal cords, the whole thing by resonance. It's kind of like you'll see the proof in the resonance. Holding, I think of holding more like a holding tank of, hi Priscilla, a holding tank, of air. If you smell a flower, right? You don't take a huge breath, right? You feel that, you guys. Just imagine yourself smelling a flower, and you feel the ribs expand. There's not a big, huge, we don't smell flowers like that. We just, we just do that. So the ribs have expanded. When the ribs expand and the abdominals kind of go into action, that's when the diaphragm flattens out. To keep the diaphragm flattening out is important because the lungs have more space to fill with air. And this action of people pushing and, to get the sound out, that's not what it's about. It's about the minimum effort for the maximum result. So you expand here, and this is something you can practice every day. Expand your ribs and then talk or sing and try and keep your ribs and abdominals active so that that's where the holding tank is. The air is released through the windpipe and the vocal cords go into action, which basically means that they sit inside the windpipe, but they sit, when you breathe, they're open in the back so that the air can go in and out. When you make sound, they close except for a little opening, and that opening controls the sound. So, for instance, what Mon was showing was getting like a tone, a solid tone, and you still have to release. You have to release the air and tone. So
in a gradual way.
Right.
Gradual way.
And there are different sensations. Instead of right? There's no sound if you really over-release. Also, there's different ideas. If you're calling across the room a little bit, I call it sometimes a healthy yell. That sound is a very healthy sound to use without feeling tension. So there are different exercises that you can do. I should probably have somebody on here who's a super technique person. I definitely teach technique, but like somebody really super like Ingrid James, from Australia. She's a super technique person, or Jocelyn Medina. She's a super technique person. Actually, Kate McGarry is. They both went to. I can't remember the name of this teacher who teaches a lot of current people all over the place.
But
So
if I may share,
yeah,
excuse me, Kath,
sure.
can I just,
Yeah.
after all is said and done, after talking about dealing with all these techniques, in the end, we cannot think about them, right?
Right, of course.
In the process of interpreting words or songs, it becomes an indirect approach. In other words, there cannot be a thought process involved in terms of the breathing techniques. You're now focusing on the lyrics, on the emotional aspect of the phrase of the song as a whole, so that when you have become used to these techniques, you should be able to get rid of them or forget about them when you're interpreting music, interpreting songs and lyrics. And
absolutely. And you know what? I just want to put in something here because so that idea, yeah, Alvin says you're too close to the camera, Mon.
Oh, okay. I keep moving.
So that idea of communication when you're performing, right? That concept and focus that we have when we're really performing well, actually that works in practicing vocal technique. If I imagine myself in that feeling and action, that actually changes my vocal technique for the better. So that's a pretty cool thing, don't you think?
Yeah, of course. And along with 100 more details, along with 1,000 more details, the miking, the distance, the acoustics, the frame of mind, the trying to connect with the audience and finding yourself, pushing yourself a bit too much, trying to achieve that and missing the point, missing the whole thing.
Right. Well, yeah. Boy, that's so true, isn't it?
You close your eyes and you try to internalize everything. You try to, but in the end, it's just we're all just trying to express our some feelings, some our views about the world, about life through a song. That everything else can be secondary. Should be secondary. Everything else should be secondary.
Well, you are.
How you appear,
You are a great person for that. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mon, lean back from the camera. This right here is Mon's brand new CD, DNA. He performed with Josh Nelson on it, and I'll just show you the inside because there they are. This is really beautiful, and this is a great example of what he was just talking about. Because Mon is the king of communication through his singing. I mean, that's when you go to see Mon, you really go away with that. That real feeling of connection. But let's move on to a different subject. What do you think? So I think I'd like to talk to you about song choice because, hi, Gary Hoffman.
Hello.
Ignore that man.
Hi, Gary.
So what do you, how do you pick your songs? Because that was one of the questions yesterday.
Okay. The song has to speak to me and speak for me first. In other words, I have to be. It has to resonate with me first, through the heart, through the mind. There are some songs that can really, in deep terms, in deepest ways, speak for you, and you would feel sometimes that you would experience that feeling that this feels like I wrote this. So,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
This feels like, oh my God, who is this writer? How come he knows about these things inside my heart or in my life? So I was tempted to call the compilation Songs of My Life before.
Right.
But you know, the DNA prevailed because of our love for our names.
David Nelson agreement.
David Nelson agreement. Anyway, going back to the songs. These are all personal, like personal declarations or personal descriptions, and that have been etched in my heart for years, for months and years. And most of them I would consider classics now, or standards.
What's a few of your favorite songs?
I didn't get that. What was that?
What is a few of your favorite songs?
Well, You Must Believe in Spring is one of them.
Yeah.
Here's to Life.
Yeah.
Lush Life. And I've been working on Did I Ever Really Live for years. Been listening to it.
Great
and,
song.
I discovered it through Carmen McRae, Joe Williams, and they're the only ones who've been able to sort of rescue the song from oblivion, because it's a song that came out that was lifted from a Broadway review way back 1969, I think, if I remember right, and it was short-lived. It only ran for less than a week. That's the sad part, but the good part is they came up with this song.
Hey, Mon, there's a question here which is related. How do you narrow down the songs for an album? If you love 100 songs, how do you compile specific ones for an album?
It's always a challenge. It's always a challenge. It's like working on a set or a repertoire for a jazz gig, a two set gig. There are hundreds of them in your heart and in your mind that you've always wanted to sing and share with the audience, but you're only allowed to do a 45 or 1 hour set. In this case, in this particular situation, the album, I think it's less than an hour of listening. Yeah. And so you're confined there to choose 10 to 12 pieces. What I do is make a list of. I make it easier for myself. I make a list of 25, thereabouts, 20 to 25 pieces, and then as you go on, as you work on the arrangements, on the concepts, you start narrowing it down to 10 to 11 or 12, and then sometimes sometimes there will be times when you will have to change some of them and revise the arrangement. But in this particular situation, I'm quite fulfilled choosing those 12 songs.
Yeah,
I feel they represent.
Well, I was just going to say, sometimes the musicians that you've chosen, sometimes you make records for different reasons in different processes. But for instance, like when I chose Larry Kuntz and Josh Nelson to make Dreamsville, that led me to the songs as well, because I would imagine different songs that had their musicality, their particular musicality, like Pensativa. Okay, so Pensativa is a Claire Fisher song that's challenging, and I decided, hey, why don't I even make it a waltz, which would make it a little more interesting. And then while we were practicing it, they both came up with this idea of expanding the bridge, doubling the bridge, right? Instead of, stretching each bar out, to double its size. So so sometimes it's the musicians or the project that will lead you to look back at your repertoire and say, well, is this, am I going to do Our Love Is Here to Stay, or am I going to do Pensativa, you know? So that is a way to narrow it down as well, right?
That's true. That's true. And in this situation with DNA, it's always been part of my bucket list. You know, it's a bucket list item to do a duo, a format with a pianist. And then I heard Josh. I was a meter away from him when he launched his, he did his Discovery project, The Sky Remains, at the Union Station. And there was that moment that I felt it was like an affirmation from my end. This is it. This is the person. This is the pianist. This is the musician that I'd like to collaborate with. That I always had in my, you know, for years. And then that's why when I told him about the experience, I'm so happy. I'm just so honored and grateful that he accepted it, and he got so excited about the project. And it helps. It helps, like you said, it helps when you love and admire and respect the musician you're working with, you're collaborating with. It helps in choosing the material as well. It sort of confirms a lot of ideas about your choices. And when you see him, when you start working on it and you see those little smiles and you know, signs of confirmation from his end, it becomes a beautiful creative journey.
You know, I think Judy Wexler is on, and Judy, if you're listening, you might want to put a comment in, because you know, have chosen really well for your CDs, and you're not a composer, so you're always picking other people's compositions. The last project she did was standards. Well, the new standards, which she considered to be songs that could be now become new standards. That was an interesting, really interesting process for her. She contacted and listened to a lot of different songs and contacted some composers, some famous, some not, and really came out with quite a substantial project.
I love your painted on canvas, Judy. One of my favorites.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hi, Emil. Oh, there's Judy Wexler. Yeah, Judy, we were just talking about you. We were just talking about how you choose songs for your projects, and also we were commenting on how we admired what you do, and because there was the question of how do you pick songs for a record? You like 100 songs, and how do you pick them? So, but Judy's always been really good at that. Yeah.
Step back and admire my view, Judy. Can you use the colors I choose?
Judy.
Judy. Do I ever say what you use, Judy?
Judy.
Can I use some greens and some blues?
Judy.
I love this community.
Okay, so Judy said I can weigh in whenever you want. Yeah, weigh in now, or you could even call me, and I can at least put your voice on here, because Mon's on FaceTime. You want to do that? She's laughing. Call me, Judy. Call my phone. It says popping in for a quick hello. Oh, Dave Moscow.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, maybe I can call Judy. Let's see if she's going to pick up. Let's just see. Judy Wexler. Okay, let's see if she answers. And then we'll move on to something else after we talk about this subject. Hi. So
I just tuned in this very second because I was on the phone for a long time just now, and then I went, oh, I need to go back to Cathy.
Well, your ears must have been burning, man, because we were literally just talking. Well, the question was, somebody asked, how do you pick your songs, like specifically for if you love 100 songs, how do you pick the songs for a CD? And Mon and I were talking about, you know, various things, but then we brought up you because you're such a good person at that. And I told them about your last record and a little bit about the process. But how would you say? Oh, sorry, I just saw your message. I look ugly right now. Luckily, it's just on the phone. But
I just came back from a long walk. And I'm schwitzy.
Oh, that's okay. We all are. I mean, I got dressed for this, but that's about it. So how?
We all look like.
Of course, that's the that's the saving grace. How do you? What's your process for picking songs for a record?
Okay. So for this particular last CD, my process was because I worked with Alan Pasqua, and he gave the thumbs up and the thumbs down. So it was basically it was up to me, which I wanted it to be up to me because it's my album. So it actually took a year to pick 10 tunes. It was just, first, because I had a concept. So this doesn't apply to just picking tunes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a concept that it had to conform to, which is it should sound like a standard, and it should be modern. And so that I then went and asked people I knew who were songwriters, like Peter Eldridge and Kate McGarry, and you know, on and on. Like anyone I knew who I knew was a songwriter, Mark Winkler. I asked them. I would say, "This is my concept. Do you have a song that you feel fits in that concept? And if so, would you?" And Renee Marie, I did the same thing to her, you know, and she sent me 18 songs. So I just, so of course you listen to everything everybody sends you. And then, you know, if the lyrics were not great, then that was a pass right away. If there wasn't a melody that felt good enough to sound like a standard, then I threw it away. And then if I thought, this actually qualifies, then I would pass it on to Pasqua, the way he saw things is if he couldn't actually do anything with the song arrangement-wise, then he wasn't interested. But if he could actually hear a different treatment of it than the way I was sending it, you know, from the original version, then and it sounded like a standard, then he gave us a thumbs up. So that was that particular process. But like, for example, on past CDs, because that was the first album I had a concept for. So that was my 5th album. The first 4 albums I did not have a concept for. They were just songs that I wanted to record. And the first one I worked with Barbara Brighton, who, you know, I know the Bob Dylan song because I did Don't Think Twice. I know that I remember that was walking into her house and that particular song was playing. And we both went, you know, and then it turned out Alan Pasqua toured with him along, you know, in the 70s. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. But, you know, but just in general, I just do just not CDs that do not have a concept. I spend a lot of time listening, asking people to send me songs, and then seeing if the combination of the lyrics and the melody resonate with me. You know, if you can't relate to it, then you should stay away from it. You know, if there's something about the song that you cannot get inside, then it's not really a great song for you to record, in my opinion. Like I was going to do my birthday show at the Baked Potato, which was a concept show. Now I know this isn't a CD, but I had to pick a lot of songs that fit in with my concept, back to the garden, love, hope, and resistance. And so all the songs are going to be from the 60s and 70s. And I have commissioned these arrangements. Several of the songs I look at and go, God, they're not Judy songs. Like, I don't feel comfortable with these songs, you know, and I shouldn't have picked them. And I shouldn't have wasted my money on them. Like, I will eventually perform them, you know, whenever we get back to some degree of normal. But, you know what I mean? So I think it's really important to have something that you're, like, in your heart, you can relate to, and you can put yourself inside of. And it doesn't have to resemble the original treatment. You know, it could be a totally different arrangement of something. So I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Yeah, Mayita says sometimes the song has to fit your voice as well as the concept. Some songs fit like a glove. And that's true. And Dory Amarillo said it's all about song choices. Everything else stems from that. And I can say, working with Dory in the studio, he works really well like that. The concept kind of grows out of the song choices. We just finished, as a matter of fact, so I just showed the cover of Mon's new CD, and here's the cover of Mayita's new CD, and The Garden is My Stage.
I have to tune into you on Facebook, I think, because now that I'm talking to you, I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just showing the other people that anyway. But so this is definitely a concept record. Mayita is a landscape person. She works in gardens. She's an artist. And inside we have a booklet that she literally designed artwork for each song that is gorgeous. I might pull that out if I can. But the concept was, the songs were really important. And then Dory was a person who was the arranger, and he really brought everything in, all the songs into the arrangement concept, which worked just beautifully. Yeah.
Right. Because, I mean, that's, sorry for interrupting, but that's a really good point, is that the songs may, oh, can you hear me, Kat?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. The songs may not have anything to do with each other, but the arrangements can tie everything together with the consistency.
Yes, so true. That's what happened on my last record, Straight Ahead from the UK, because I had recorded that 7 years ago in England. It had remained on the shelf because the sax player who brought me out died, so it was on the shelf. Last year we pulled it out, and John Leftwich became the co-arranger, co-producer, and mixer, and we brought in a few new instruments. I redid vocals because I had been very sick on the session, and now, I mean, that's one of my favorite things about the record, is this fully tied in, you know, sound and feeling. So that really, you're right. It really makes a difference for that, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm just going to show, real quick, I'm just going to show a few of these pictures for Mayita, just to show you this gorgeous artwork that Mayita did. She just, and this is for each song, you know, she did this, and this page is my favorite page. That's for Willow Weep for Me, and this is for Aguaji Bebe.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, really beautiful.
I'll see that very soon, I'm sure.
Yes, you will. So, yeah. So,
and all of this will go into her press story. You know, obviously.
Right.
You know, it'll be part of the storytelling behind the music. Yeah, You know who did something like that was Georgia Mancio with the Alan Broadbent Georgia Mancio songbook.
Oh, really?
I don't remember if she was the artist or whether she commissioned these pieces, but she had a piece of art for every song. I never got the physical album, so I haven't seen exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many, I mean, CD concepts and gathering that is really something. And like I was saying that, you know, sometimes I think for me, it's mostly, if I'm doing a live set or live evening, it's mostly who's playing and what I expect the playing to sound like, you know, not per se reading arrangements, but what the musicians are bringing, you know, with their quality of sound. And then I can pick songs more related to that. Let's talk a little bit about AB5.
Okay, I'm going to get off the phone now. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Judy. Thanks.
Okay, love you.
Love you too.
Bye, Judy. Drive safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Drive safe.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about AB5. See what people have to say about it. Hey, Randy Freeman. Mwah. Bye, Dave. Anybody have anything to say about AB5? I haven't seen direct influence in my own universe. But I have talked to some people who are musicians who would normally get hired for projects and who have lost those projects. So it is real, but I also pretty sure I have heard that talk to direct people like Adrienne Duncan is a person who is actively working on it. Adrienne Duncan, she's the singer in our Fish the Birds. And she says, I think she told me, somebody told me that what's happening now is different groups are gathering their petitions to be excluded from AB5. So I don't think AB5 is going to have a long lifetime as it generally, affects the general population. I don't think so. But of course, I am the half full glass person. So if you want a realistic point of view, I don't know if half full or half empty is realistic. What do you think, Mon?
Well, the good thing about it is that that glass is refillable. So as soon as the COVID-19 things get better, you can start taking a look at it and really
That's funny.
investigating it.
That's really good, Mon.
At this point, I don't have the energy to think about it, really focus on it because of our situation right now, which is just to stay at home and try to create and work on those arrangements, those charts that need to be revised or work on a repertoire or prepare for the next lifetime, hopefully.
Dave Moscow just said Musicians Union is not being helpful in this. I know that. The Musicians Union is not being our friends in this. I'm sorry, let's jump a little bit.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hi, Dave.
What about, you and I lean a lot more towards singing more freely, although we have been known to sing the melodies and, like in your case, supported by an orchestra, singing the melodies with some phrasing. But also, I think both you and I really love to improvise and be free. Do you have anything to say about improvisation? I'm sure you do.
I was about to inject the idea of I'm always inclined to look at it as like a percentage, being prepared, but at the same time allowing some space to be spontaneous. Familiarizing yourself with the material, but at the same time being open to just leave out everything on stage or with some musicians and start being in the moment. So it's a combination of those two things. The discipline, but at the same time the willingness to just let go and cut loose and be the result of a certain configuration that's happening. Configuration of musicians, whether it's a trio or a quartet or an orchestra, and there's nothing like it. Finding, discovering things that you never thought of before, coming out with something out of nothing, just like what we do with our family, Fish to Birds. And for me, the combination of those two things keep me grounded, but at the same time keep me excited. Being excited about things, about gigs.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about your repertoire, your set, relying or depending on the lineup that you're going to use, the musicians that you're going to be collaborating with. There's a lot of truth in that, because I always do that. I always approach my set that way. I keep adjusting. For example, if I know that Dave would be there or Otmara would be there, I need to present or try some things that I haven't done before. These might be small details, but they can provide the excitement and the creative juices that one would need in a set, right?
Yeah. I think also, if you're talking about improvisation, that's a broad word, but improvisation, what I'm imagining we're talking about is improvisation in the way, not scatting improvisation, but taking a song and changing it up so that you might be singing different notes or different phrasings, like take a sentence that should be here, but we've moved it to here. And one thing, and we touched on this yesterday, is you absolutely have to be connected to the time, the groove. As you, the singer, has to be totally connected. And when we are in the same universe as the musicians, then each person has their connection to the same groove as everybody else, the same timing and groove, but they're doing what they want, what's truthful for them, what's in their heart and responses, while responding to what other people are doing. Like Weather Report, I was saying yesterday, that was one of the first groups I personally knew about as I was growing up that was doing that. They never repeated little lines that each other were doing. They each were doing these real separate ideas, but all connected to the same core, right?
Oh, they're all individually and collectively, they're all great conversationalists and storytellers.
Yeah.
Individually, they would inject their own personal ideas, but at the same time maintaining a certain form, keeping in mind that form. Not veering away too much from it so that it becomes chaotic. They have that quality, that character in them.
Mon, did I ever tell you the story? For a while I was writing reviews and doing interviews, and I interviewed Peter Erskine. And so Peter was with Stan Kenton when he was very young, like under 21, and then all of a sudden he got into Weather Report.
Weather Report.
Now these guys are pretty much at opposite ends of high quality jazz, but Stan Kenton is very straight ahead. Everybody's working together, and Weather Report is what we were just talking about, right? Very stretching out, you know. And so, so he and Joe Zawinul were standing around listening to a live recording that they had done on Black Market or something. And Peter was feeling pretty cocky because, you know, on a straight ahead kind of a band, if the drummer does to do, then the piano player might do to do, you know, they mock each other and answer, and that's how they tie in. But Weather Report wasn't like that. That was like a, you know, and so Peter was feeling pretty cocky, and Joe Zawinul said, "Too bad you had to do that." And Peter, his whole, you know, bubble burst, but he learned, and from that point on, he didn't do that. And he was with Weather Report for quite a while, I think, right?
Yeah. What a journey from Stan Kenton to Weather Report.
Can you imagine? Yeah. And how did Joe Zawinul see that he wanted Peter Erskine, you know?
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I just...
all inspiring. They're all very inspiring.
Yeah.
Great.
Alvin said, are there workshops specifically designed for certain types of singers, pop, jazz, etc.? You know, I don't know, actually. I know that there's plenty of jazz workshops. There's one thing I wanted to tell you guys that I was talking about yesterday. We were talking about groove and how, like keeping for instance, keeping your feet moving at one tempo and then doing your songs at a different, you know, kind of tempo.
That's the whole subject. There's so much to talk about.
Right, but the key
phrasing alone would take us, you know, many sessions.
But I have to say that Keith, why can't I always forget Keith Taylor. Anyway, I've written it on my Facebook from yesterday's.
Don't stay too close to me. You're coughing.
It's just my normal cough. So Keith, he's a body percussionist. Okay. And every Thursday, in fact, I don't think I'll do this on Thursday, so I can do it. Every Thursday, he's going to have a live Facebook Live on his body percussion for beginners. And this is really cool. He does stuff like, he'll teach you patterns like 1, 2, let's see, what did he started 1, 2, 3, 4, or I think it was, oh, Emil, I forget what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, so then he teaches you patterns, and then he might say, okay, 2, 5, 3. So you do 2, then you do 5, then you do 3. But anyway, the workshop was incredible. Not only did he teach us these patterns, but he made us go fast and not think, and we were better when we did that.
I'd like to encourage all singers to be body percussionists. No,
Terry, yes, thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to encourage all singers to be body percussionists, and then after that stage, if we can all be percussionists mentally, I think that's going to be a big help, great help, to support phrasing, to support other creative avenues in terms of interpreting songs in music. Yeah, and if I may also inject that I always talk about this idea, the inner pulse that we're all blessed with, especially when singing ballads. Singing up-tempo, singing fast songs it's a given, and that you have to have that sense of time, strong feel of your time, sense of time. But with ballads, I feel it's crucial to develop the inner pulse when you don't have to count or stomp your feet or do gestures, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It becomes an innate thing. It becomes like your breath mark to a certain extent. It's like breathing time through ballads, through even rubatos. Our concept of rubato is free flowing, right? Or almost like there's no time involved. I've always believed that there will always be that inner pulse, even with rubato sung ballads.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and if you listen to the great singers sing ballads, you know, of course, Shirley Horn, but you count, you will see in that space there is a constant time. Mm-hmm. And you can practice that by putting on what's the word? Metronome, thank you. You could, by putting on a metronome at different tempos. Just put it on while you're washing the dishes. Yeah. You know, have it soak into you. And also listening, when you listen to recordings, either video or recordings, see if you can tap the time throughout the whole thing, right?
And the other beautiful thing,
Hermeto Pasquale,
goal is to have that metronome in your head eventually, stuck in your head.
Exactly.
So that you don't need the physical metronome anymore.
Right, like for instance, you know, for instance, like here's the time. My heart is sad and lonely. For you I cried. So all that space and time is still going along with
I feel the pulse.
Pulse, that's right.
I feel the pulse, yeah.
Actually, you know what was really fun for me was the that last gig I did with Carrie Frank on B3 and Aunt Myro on piano. Wow, that was so much fun because there was the groove of the B3, but then there was their harmonic sense, which was beautiful. And then when Carrie was soloing or he was playing some other kind of thing, but then we'd come back to the groove. Oh my God, that's the kind of stuff I love. Just kind of riding the groove.
At the same time, I can visualize you having the drummer and the bass player in your head, in your mind, in your heart, right?
Yeah, there's a groove that lives within. Mm-hmm. And it's delicious to be attached to it and stretch away and then come back. That's so delicious.
That's a nice phrase, the groove that lives within.
Wow, there's another title. Somebody else told me about another thing I said.
The groove that lives within.
I like that. Where's my pencils? Okay. The groove that lives within. The groove that lives within. I like that.
What lies beneath?
So Mon and I also talk about the responsibility of the artist. You know, shall we talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I was about to inject as well when we started talking about the concept of the repertoire in an album. I was going to add that it should be, well, in my opinion, it should be your statement, the personal statement through your song choices or through the whole album. It's like I'm just reminded that our life should be the way we choose our songs, the way we live our lives are our messages. That's our message to the world. On the whole, right? Everything else is, it is almost secondary. The charts, the sales, the adulation, the number of people who have attended. I think in the end, it's that that message that we're trying to share or to get across. And at the same time, I feel it's a privilege. It's a special privilege to be able to do these things, right?
Yeah.
I can't build bridges. I can't just network with, but this is the thing that we love doing most, and the thing that we can perhaps share and hopefully help alleviate whatever everybody's going through right now. So, like you would always say, we just continue creating and connecting through music. And human connection, it never dies. It's always there.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful, we're all grateful that we get to experience even the oldest performances through the internet, through the modern technology, through YouTube. It's now we get to learn more about their lives and what they've been doing, perhaps 4 decades ago, 5 decades ago. Did you hear, have you ever seen Herbie Hancock's lectures?
Yes. They're beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh my God. It's so, they're all so inspiring.
Totally. And it's so yeah. It's lovely to see the statesman of jazz, talking about that. I mean, I'm sure we all have had these experiences, but I have to say the reason I got into jazz and stayed in jazz was because of meeting and hearing the older statesmen. When I was growing up, I mean, like one of the first groups that I actually went to. So I grew up and my dad was a sax player. And so he was always playing. Alvin, I haven't changed anything, so it might be on your end that you're not getting sound, unless other people are not getting sound. But so
you were really surrounded by musicians early on.
Yeah, I was, but
right?
Yes, and so, but when I was probably 14 or something, 14, yeah, my sister took me into Boston, and we went to the jazz workshop, which was one of the main rooms there, and it was the Modern Jazz Quartet, a very small club, and I was sitting like practically right in front, and I was thrilled out of my brain. And the thing is that the thing that struck me was their graciousness. I call it royalty, which I give you the name of that as well, because it's how we carry our artistry, and it has to do with humbleness and truth, and humbleness, truth, and quality. It has to do with all of those things that I can just pick up just being in the audience, and they don't have to be talking a lot. I'm just getting that, and I'm overwhelmed with what that is. Like, gosh, I have to say this. So I remember the concert that your kids did at Art Share, and
okay.
Remember that concert? And I was sitting next to Gregory, and he and I were weeping because your kids were so, they also carry that, and they brought you up, and the three of you were like carrying this. I can't call it anything but royalty, because it's so, the quality of the communication just by being who you are, which includes the art, had such a huge effect, and that, I think, is what I'd like to believe that the responsibility of being an artist is.
True. Just being who you are, you mentioned that. And somebody was asking me, I think that was a week ago, and how do you do it? How do you, what are your, do you have a technique? How can you help me regarding connecting with the audience, entertaining an audience through your song choices? And and that was the first thing that popped out of my head. Just just being who you are, just be yourself, and you can't expect everybody to appreciate what you're doing, but just be yourself, be honest. I think those two keywords, I would always mention those two keywords: being honest and sincere with what you're trying to express.
Yeah, and do what you do the best you can do it. You know,
the best you can do.
And it has to do with you doing the best you can do, and these are the reasons, so that
it's not about being the best. Thank you for reminding me.
Right.
It's not about being the best. It's doing your best.
Yeah,
always.
yeah. My teacher had said to me that he likes the way he looks at his students is that they are doing the best that they can do, which is really a nice way of looking at your students, you know.
True, indeed. And right now we're all doing the best that we can do, trying to cooperate, trying to help each other.
Yeah.
With one eye closed, you know.
Yeah.
Not really knowing what's going to happen, but having that faith that it's all going to be okay eventually.
Yeah.
It's just a long, musical, beautiful rest that we all have to take and appreciate and enjoy, like all those other musical rests. The 16th rest, a half rest. This one's really 1,000 bars. It's a whole suite. But I think we can still do something good about it. We can still gain something good about it, which is what we're doing right now, cooperating and trying to help slow down the spread of this dissonant chord that's so hard to appreciate. Sometimes I can appreciate dissonant chords, but it's too out.
This one is out. And also,
it's too out to be in, too in to be out.
Also, if you think about it, you know, dissonance can sound really good depending on what's around it, right? And so what's around this dissonance is all these different moving parts, you know, trying to settle down, and and that's
somehow
part of
somehow you know that someday it's going to be resolved. There's going to be a resolution.
Yeah, this is really.
I hope it will be a little like a Coltrane-ish resolution.
You know, this, what I find myself thinking about, you know, if I think about this particular thing, my mind kind of wanders into thinking about how it feels to be, to what you just described. You know, we're in the house, we don't know how long it's going to be, nothing's happening out there practically. And then I start thinking about all the ideas that relate to science fiction or philosophical ideas about that I create my own reality. And, you know, this is my reality right now.
Yeah. Sure, nothing is happening, but in reality, deep inside, there's a lot happening. Right? There's a lot of reflection.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of assessment,
so much.
Evaluation, which is, I think, what we all need at this particular moment.
I think that point is really going to benefit us as we come out of it. I think when we come out of this, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, of course, that we're going to have so many creative ideas in motion. You know, that it's going to be okay. We're going to have some new. It's going to shift us up. It's interesting because, you know, spiritual people always talk about this period as being a real big, huge shift. Not the virus period, but this period of time. But I don't think they figured that the virus and what was going to happen would actually contribute to that. But I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good time to connect with people, too.
Yeah, it's a good time to connect.
Fantastic. You know, I talked to a few people who I have had relationships on Facebook, only typing through Messenger. I've never even met them. I talked to one guy on FaceTime yesterday who I hadn't met for 3 years. I mean, ever, face to face. You know, it's been a good connection time too.
And that always happens when we start making music, talking about music. It's a very powerful, healing thing.
Yeah.
The love for it, you know, singing songs, talking about the craft, endless.
Yeah. You know, if you guys check out Kate Richards Geller, so the other night when the equinox happened, you know, the spring change, she did a Facebook Live in her house in this beautiful kind of empty room, and she's really good at making sounds and singing and stuff and improvisational, and you should check it out if you want to experience something really beautiful. Really,
Okay.
Kate
Thank
Richards
you.
Geller, yeah. That was really nice. Is there anything else that you guys listening would like to bring up? We have, you know, I'm going to, you know, maybe stop in about, we could go on, we could stop now, we could talk for about 15 more minutes. So anything you guys are interested in? I don't know, reading music as opposed to singing by ear. My feeling on that is, if you can learn music, why not? It's anything that you know is helpful. But we all know people who sing by ear. Nancy King, one of the best jazz singers on the planet, is not a music reader. So, I mean, it's not that you can't do it, but why not?
She just feels everything.
Yeah. And singing by ear does bring in some actually excellent tools. You know, you can, you know, you're more solid within yourself, but why not learn, you know?
And reading as well is, you know, it's a tool. It's a very helpful tool.
Yeah.
That everybody can use, being able to read.
Mon, you play guitar and drums, right?
Oh yes, I've been working on some songs that I've been wanting to present or perform live with just the guitar. So that's another project that I'm excited about, that keeps me preoccupied. And that's why I'm at the same while this is all happening, I'm grateful for that. You know, the space, the time that I'm really enjoying now. I'm savoring in terms of working on some basic charts and some chord progressions, and trying to achieve that level of comfort when you accompany yourself, not relying on other instruments. So it's like going back to the basics, actually, from that duo project with Josh, and now working on some material, some songs that I enjoy just playing and singing at the same time. So I'd like to be able to present that soon, as soon as things get better.
Yeah, I want to mention, just kind of touch on lesson plans, and some of the people that I'll be talking to really think about lesson plans. But what I've been doing recently, because there's so many different things that I want to practice. Wow, you know, if I practice only technique, then I don't get to other things, and so. But what I've been doing is I've been taking a piece of paper, and when I go to the piano and work on something, I write it down. So I worked on that today, and that, for some reason, that actually makes me a little more focused about what I want to practice and what I need to and what I can, because I can see, oh, I already worked on that like yesterday, so I'll work on something else today. Oh, sorry, Karen McCann says, I don't read music. I have, fibromyalgia, so some things are difficult for me, but I love singing. I always feel insecure about the idea of singing live because of my lack of music reading knowledge. Let's talk about that for a second. You know, I hear that a lot, especially when people show up at workshops. A lot of people say that. Mon, you're off to the side, sweetie. So the fact of the matter is, you don't need a huge amount of information to make music with people. You do need some. And the more you have, like what I was just saying about reading music, the more information you have, the easier it is. But things like, you know, like recognizing the length and sound of an intro and knowing when to come in, or knowing that the musicians are going to want to solo, and how long do they solo? They solo through the whole song, or do they solo on a totally other piece of music, or do they solo on half the song? And then where do you come in, and how do you end? You know, things like that. They're I would say pretty necessary, wouldn't you say, Mon?
Yeah, it's knowing the form, the basic form of the song. It's familiarizing yourself with the structure, whether it's a 4-bar intro or an 8-bar intro, which are those are regular, regular measures that the musicians or pianists would use as intros. And then being familiar with the song form, which is the basic A-A-B-A form of a song, and then negotiating with learning the closing part, the finale part, or extro. We would call it extro, which is another
extro. I've never heard of that.
There's intro and there's extro, right?
I thought it was outro.
Sometimes the extra would have that those extra bars or extra, like a vamp in the middle before they finally ended. So those are basic things that singers must know. And if you can focus on a few of them, a few of your choices, start from there, it's going to be an easier travel after those initial pieces. And so, like Cathy said, you don't have to be able to read music to sing. If you want to sing, choose a song that represents your mind and your heart, and sing it, learn it. You know, you can. There's a lot of help that you can use. You can work or collaborate with your favorite pianist or guitarist. It might be good, Kath, if you can invite some of our pianist friends.
Yeah, I'm reaching out to them. Yeah,
to share their experiences and and start talking about the art of accompanying singers and the art of collaborating with a singer, whether he's a beginner or a pro. This is the time. We all have time.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to invite people. So I'm going to tell you guys, because I'm going to end off here. Okay. But I'm going to tell you that tomorrow we have Paul Jost as a guest.
Oh,
isn't that fun, Mon? Yeah. So Paul Jost is in New Jersey.
So inspiring.
Yeah. Now, just a little blab about Paul Jost. He's like Mon, he's a drummer and guitar player too. And he's had a long career, really full career. He's about my age, and he has been getting more and more well known for his singing. And he has been traveling the world, obviously right now not, but when he came here last year, I think Julie Kelly told Barbara Brighton about him, or maybe, I can't remember if I got my information right. Anyway, we created a concert and workshop with him, and really and truly, I looked around the room.
What a great artist.
Oh, I looked around the room at the audience, and people were stunned. They were stunned. They were sitting there stunned. He's such a great artist, and especially in this day when we don't have a huge amount of male jazz singers, we have many more female. So, so anyway, tomorrow we'll have Paul Jost, And then and you can look these people up on the web before they come. But then the next day, let's see. I think I'm working on having Judy Carmichael, who is a stride piano player and singer. And she has her own interview show, which is superbly fabulous, which includes all kinds of directors, musicians, singers. I've been on her show, and all kinds of people. And she's a really lively, interesting human. So I'm working on her for Sunday. And I'm trying to get people, international people too, because this is cool. Well, Cinna called from Denmark, so that was cool. So Mon David, I encourage you to look up Mon David. What's your website address?
It's mondavid.net.
Okay, mondavid.net. And like I said, he is going to, hopefully in May 30th, he'll have his CD release show, he and Josh Nelson. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sending mailing out, so if you want to get on my mailing list and find out about it, we'll do that. And speaking of that, Maita is going to have, hopefully, her CD release party on May 10th. And it will be outdoors, so maybe that will be okay by then. Yeah, Mon, thanks for hanging out.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, fellow singers and musicians.
And other people.
And other people. Stay at home, stay safe and healthy. We'll keep in touch. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Let's continue creating music and creating human connection, harmony. It's possible. It's still possible.
It is. So hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow at noon. And I'm going to continue doing this for a little while. I don't know how long I'll continue.
Thank you, Kat, for doing this.
You're welcome. But Thursday, I think I'm not going to do it, so I can go hang out with Keith Terry online, because he's the body percussionist. Okay. Mary Bogue, you can actually see it as soon as we hang up and end the live video. You can watch the whole thing. So you're welcome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.